Hi friends, my name's Kylie Kingham and I'm a Creative Memories Advisor here in Australia. Today I'm going to share with you how I've created a layout using sketch number 4 from the virtual crop and some tips and tricks that I've used to bring my page together. I've worked with the beautiful Staycation collection featuring the designer paper pack, stickers and die cuts, and I've also created the border featuring the beautiful new geometric frame punch. So I've printed out my little recipe template a little larger so that I can use it today creating my layout, and as you can see there are several layers of paper that form the background of this page design. I'd like to show you today a technique that will help you conserve your paper supplies. If you're like me, you love to layer lots of papers together to form your background, but it can chew into your paper supplies to layer full sheets of paper. So this little technique you might find helpful to you, and you can use the leftover pieces of paper that you cut away to mat photos or create borders or other embellishments for your layouts. But to begin with, for the background piece of paper, I'm using this lovely yellow piece of paper from the Staycation paper pack. It has like little suns on it. And the next layer I'm going to use just a plain navy piece of cardstock. And the first layer needs to be trimmed down to 10.5 inches by 10.5 inches. So I'll just take the trimming board and line that up. And these strips that you're taking off would be perfect for creating border pieces on another project. Get that nice and square. Okay, so what we're going to do next, as you are probably already aware, to the side of this little housing unit that has your blade on your trimming board, you can see that you have this little marker, and it will be quite handy for this technique that I'm going to use. I'm going to line up my cardstock to about the 1 inch mark and roughly 1 inch down, and I do say roughly, it doesn't have to be perfect. I'm going to start by trimming down one side, and I'm going to stop approximately 1 inch from the bottom. So I've made one cut here down my navy cardstock. I'm going to rotate it, line it up to the 1 inch mark again up here, and take my blade up to that first cut line, aligning it with this little marker on the side of the bracket. And I'm going to rotate it again and do the same thing. Align it to the 1 inch mark. Use this marker to the side of my blade to line that up and bring it down approximately 1 inch. Rotate it again for our final cut. And stop once we get to the previously cut line. Now you may have a little piece that hasn't quite cut through, that's okay, just use your scissors. As you can see, what you are left with is a cut frame. This piece of cardstock can be used for another project, so we can set that aside, and we're limiting the wastage of our paper. So the framed piece that we've cut out, we need to center onto our background page, ensuring that our border around each side is exactly the same width. I'm just going to use a little bit of my repositionable tape to adhere my border in place. We then need to cut down our third, which we're going to cut down to 10 inches by 10 inches. And I'm going to use the back side of that first piece of paper we chose, which is this lovely striped paper. Again, keep those strips that you're trimming off. They're perfect to create borders with. And where you would normally have just used a solid piece of paper, we've been able to conserve that and yet still have the same effect without knowing that we've actually cut the center out of that. Our next step is going to be creating this cute little border that sits in behind where the photos are sitting. And to do that, I'm going to use the brand new geometric frame punch. So using this navy blue paper from the designer paper pack, I'm going to trim a 4-inch wide strip with my trimming board. Then using my geometric frame punch, I'll just unlock it from the back, and I'm going to align the paper with this marker here on the left hand side. So slide that in and punch, and then with that first arch that we've punched, I'm going to align with the picture here on the punch, on the arm of the punch. Align there and keep doing this until I've punched all the way down this first side. Once I've done that first side, you can see here I've got a tiny little piece left over. That's okay because we're going to trim this down, but I'm going to flip the paper over and do the exact same process. The reason why I like to flip the paper over is to ensure that the both arches on each side will line up perfectly. Okay, now we already know that this square piece of paper is 10 inches by 10 inches, so we could just cut down our frame to 10 inches. But what you will find is you will just have this slight little bit of overlap here. So what you can see I've done is I've just aligned my border here to where it's going to sit on my background page. And just using a pencil, I'm going to mark where I'd like to trim it down to. And by doing this, it's going to ensure that it has a more even appearance on my layout. Like so. And then that will be perfect to adhere